Hey guys, Miss Cuban here. In this video and lesson, I am going to focus more on applications using circumference. Basically real-life problems where circumference is going to come in hand and how to determine that when you see the problems. But first, before I do that, I want us to refresh our memory. What is circumference? So when I have a circle, which I know that's not perfect, so I apologize. Your circumference is your distance around. And anytime you go around a figure, you are talking about the perimeter. So when you are going around, that is your circumference. Circumference formula, there's two types. There's one when I'm given a diameter, and that is circumference is diameter times pi, because there's 3 diameters and a little left over that make up the circumference of a circle. Now, diameter is also if I divide the diameter in half, I get what we call is the radius. So I know that if there are 2 radius, that will equal a diameter. So my next formula is 2 radius times pi. That is also circumference. So I could use either one of these formulas as long as I am consistent and I use what I'm working with. And as a reminder, when you divide your circumference and your diameter for pi, you'll always get the ratio as 3.14. And that is what we're using pi as. So that's a little bit of review of what we've been working on in class. So let's do some application problems. Okay, it's always good to keep in mind when you get application problems and you get word problems that you always do the problem solving model. Okay, that's going to help you lay things out. So a Ferris wheel measures 40 meters from the top of the car to the bottom. A cart travels 1 time around the Ferris wheel. How many meters will it travel? So I know from this problem that from the top, so I have to draw a picture, from the top to the bottom, it is 40 meters. So that tells me I know the diameter is 40 meters. If the question's asking me to go around the Ferris wheel, around, I know that's circumference. So that means I am looking for the circumference for one time. That's key. So now that I'm given diameter, I'm going to use my formula, circumference equals diameter times pi. And then I'm going to plug in my values. So circumference, I don't know. Diameter is 40. Pi. So approximately my answer is 40 pi. And if I want a close to an approximate answer, I will substitute pi for 3.14. And now I'm going to multiply 3.14 times 40, 16, 5, 12, placeholder, 16, 5, 12, 11, 5, 2, So I get my answer is 251 and 20 hundredths meters. So that, but I write my answer both ways because no matter what pi is, if I leave it in terms of pi, that's my exact answer because pi is a never-ending number. Okay. Let's try another application problem. Okay, in this problem, the radius of the circle below is 62.5 yards. If Andrew walks around the outside of the circle 5 times, about how many miles does Andrew walk in all? So it's telling you you're going on the outside. That is circumference. Now this time it's telling you 5 times. So I look at my circle and it's telling me the radius. So I'm going to use my circumference formula of 2 radius pi. Now I'm going to plug in my numbers. 2 times 62.5 times pi. 62.5 times 2 is 125. And then now we just got to multiply by pi, which is 3.14. So this is going to be the fun part. So let me erase my little work right here. So we're multiplying a 3-digit by a 3-digit. So I'm going to multiply my ones. 4, 5. Placeholder. 2, 1. I now have 2 placeholders, so I'm going to place 2 placeholders on the 3rd row. 3 times 5 is 15. 7 and 3. I add 8, 9, 3. And I have 2 decimal places, so I'm looking at 392.5. This is your circumference. But I'm not done because this is circumference for one rotation. So I need to eliminate 32 and 392, and I need to eliminate 196 because those 392 is just one round and 196 is less than. So now I look back at the problem and it wants to know 5 times. So I have to take this and I have to multiply it by 5. So I have 12, 46, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2 decimal places. I'm looking at 1,962.5 yards. So make sure when you're reading these problems, you don't ignore the amount of times you're going in the circumference, your circle. Okay? So, okay, let's try one last one. The figure below represents a tire on Felice's car, which is the closest distance traveled after 3 full rotations of the tire. So I notice that they are giving me the diameter of this tire. And I want to know rotations, which is telling me circumference. So I'm going to be using diameter times pi. However, in this problem, it wants us to use pi as a fraction. But that's okay. We're not going to freak out about that. We're going to plug in our numbers. 28 is your diameter. height is 22 over 7. And I'm going to place 28 over 1. So that way I can multiply and simplify. However, when I'm looking at this, I notice that 7 and 28 I can simplify. 7 divided by 7 equals 1. 28 divided by 7 equals 4. So I can easily just go ahead and multiply 4 times 22, which gives me 88. And 1 times 1 is 1. So my circumference is going to be 88 inches, which happens to be B. I hope this helped you by giving you different types of problems with circumference. Remember to always use your strategies and ask me any questions if you need help. Have a great day, guys. And before I leave, one last thing. I just want to say thank you, Kraus Math. I'm over in the middle. I used your resources in this video, so I'm not claiming it to be mine, as you have copyrighted your products. I'm just using it to help my students. Bye, guys.